The first thing we do when we get there in the morning is we have a team meeting, team huddle, and we go over pretty much every single patient that's on my schedule. And then we'll go through the hygiene schedules. And if anything needs to be talked about, it's not very long, 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. And we talk about things. And you can tell right off the bat if somebody's not having a good day.
You can laugh at customer retention worries caused by the new COVID economy when you put these simple yet often overlooked customer service strategies to work in your business. I'm Ken Newhouse. Building a profitable business isn't only about generating leads and driving sales. It's about who we are and what we're made of. It's about finding the most effective methods to persuade, inspire, and ignite the imagination of others so you can succeed in business. If you're a member of the new breed of entrepreneur, I invite you to join the quest as we reveal the newest and most effective methods you can use to get clients now. Michael Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, once said, "The magic of a Disney vacation is, to me, the magic of quality, the magic of innovation, the magic of beauty, the magic of families coming together, the magic of our cast members. All of these things kind of bundled together. Each is a magic moment in which the bond between customer and company is forged and strengthened, and each contributes another small boost to Walt Disney World's customer return rate of around 70%. The quote-unquote magic, also known as customer service Eisner spoke of, has a quality that leads to superior performance and profit for every organization that deploys it. Each magical moment builds customer satisfaction and increases loyalty, fundamental sources of growth and success that every company has to have, especially in the new COVID economy. To help further illustrate this point, I want you to think about a magic show. To the audience, the show elicits feelings of wonder and surprise. And if you've ever watched a really good magic show, like Penn and Teller, you have no idea how they create the effects you witnessed on stage. And an important element of the thrill you feel is that you have no idea how their illusions are created, and your enjoyment of the quote-unquote show is a major part of the fun you experience. Now I want to flip that script and I want to look at the show from the magician's perspective. From their perspective, the show is completely different. To the magician, the show is a highly practical process made up of a series of meticulously planned, well-rehearsed steps that are designed to delight you and other members of the audience. This is not only true for Penn and Teller, it's true at the Walt Disney Company and every organization on the planet that creates magical customer experiences through amazing customer service. The delight, joy, and happiness that a well-served customer feels comes as a direct result of hard work on the part of the organization and its employees. For the customer, the client, the patient, the magic is a source of wonder and enjoyment. For the organization, customer service, also known as quote-unquote magic, is a much more practical matter. The new COVID economy has created never-before-seen difficult challenges for most of us in business. And when you combine these challenges with the reality of the experience economy, which was a reality before COVID came onto the scene, superior customer service is now more relevant to your success than ever. Superior customer service, delivered consistently, is now more relevant to your success than ever. So what exactly is the experience economy? Well, think of it this way. Goods and services are simply props to engage your customer, your client, your patients. People want memorable experiences when they do business with a given company. And to stand out in a highly competitive market, your company, your business, your professional practice, you've got to become a stager of experiences. Think of the theater. Think of the magic show. You've got to become a stager of experiences. Now, some of you listening to this are going to say, well, that's nonsense. I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to deliver my widgets. I'm just going to deliver my service. I'm just going to build websites for people. Continue with that mindset, and eventually you're going to be out of business. When you become a stager of experience for your clients, your customers, or your patients, the tangible work that you do perishes, meaning that it disappears once you've performed it in most instances. Listen, this is important. On the flip side of that, the value of the experience you delivered lingers in the memory of the customer, client, or patient who was, quote-unquote, engaged by the event in your business. Again, to illustrate this point, let's take a look at Disney. Most parents don't take their kids to Walt Disney World just for the event itself, but rather they take their kids to Disney to create a shared experience, a shared memory, something they can share with their family, with their children for months, even years down the road. I'm Ken Newhouse, host of the Get Clients Now podcast, and I want to welcome you to episode 387. My guest today is Dr. Eric Klum, one of the most respected, sought-after, most in-demand cosmetic dentists in the Midwest. Some people believe that it's Clum's stellar reputation for giving his patients magical cosmetic results that has patients flying across the country to see him. To a large degree, that's true. But his success isn't simply based on his skill as a cosmetic dentist. Clum and his team of assistants, hygienists, and associate doctors are masters of customer service. Unlike a lot of business owners with quote-unquote semi-successful businesses who provide awesome customer services, not consistently, but from time to time, unlike that, Clum and his team focus on minute details. Their focus is on creating a wow effect for patients with the big things and specifically the little things, things that most dentists and most business owners for that matter rarely even notice. Quality customer service means exceeding your customers, your clients, or your patients' expectations by paying attention to every detail of the delivery of your products and services. So if you want to attract new clients into your business, and if you want to increase retention and referrals, imagine how delivering a wow experience to those in your tribe can make your business more profitable than ever. Imagine how much more successful your business can be if you could first meet and then exceed the expectations of your customers and do it consistently. Now, if that sounds like something you'd like to learn how to implement in your business, you're in for an incredible treat today because my guest, Dr. Eric Clum, is going to share several key customer service insights that have helped make his practice one of the most successful and profitable in the state of Missouri. So if you're ready to learn how to provide exceptional customer service like Disney, like Dr. Eric Clum, and like many of our clients and members, let's welcome Dr. Eric Clum onto the show. So Dr. Eric, on behalf of myself and the members of the Get Clients Now Nation, I want to welcome you to the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm excited to have you. You know, one of the things that I talked to you about when we chatted not too long ago is that I looked for people, business owners in our local community that are doing an excellent job with customer service. That's going to be the topic of our conversation today. But before we actually dive in, I'd like you to take, a minute or two. Tell us your backstory, where you came from, how you got into dentistry, what led you to St. Louis. Bring us up to speed so that my listener can get a feel for who you are, what you've accomplished, and why they should listen to you.
So I'm pretty much from St. Louis. I was born in Wisconsin, but I moved here when I was 3. So I say I'm from St. Louis. And I have an office in Eureka, Missouri. And I grew up just north of that in Wildwood. So I've been here all around. My mom taught at Eureka High School for 25 years. So I've been here for a long time. And I didn't really know I wanted to go into dentistry right away. My high school girlfriend's dad was like, you should go shadow. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. So I shadowed about 4 or 5 dentists. And I'm like, this sounds like a good job. So I did more shadowing. I was taking biology and chemistry in college and just kept on going with that. Took the DAT. When I was trying to find a job, I almost didn't get a job in Eureka. I almost got a job in Southern Illinois. But the day before I signed the paperwork, I ended up meeting with Dr. Griffin, who owned a practice at the time. Started working for him, was his associate for about 5 years. And now we've owned it for about 4.5 years. And that's where I'm at. When I look back, it's like it was all luck. It just fell into place. But when I was going through it, it was pretty stressful. That's where I'm at now.
So what was it that made you decide to become a dentist? What was it, when the light came on, you're like, you know what, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
It just felt right when I went there, and I shadowed some pretty good St. Louis dentists around the area, and it seemed like they were having a fun time doing their job. It was, they were working with people and they were laughing with them a lot of times when they were seeing them. They were treating people and they were doing some cool stuff that I didn't know dentists could actually do. But they have work-life balance too. Work-life balance is a big part of my life. And that's one of the major things that I saw that dentists had. Is they could work as much or as little as they wanted, and they could also have a family and be there for that work-life balance.
What's something about you that people in the marketplace, people in the St. Louis area don't know about you, but you'd like them to know?
So I've been listening to your podcast. I've been ready for this question because I know you asked it, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And I'm pretty much an open book. So, I don't hold much back. I think that helps me in dentistry. I just tell them the truth. I lay it all out there, and then I let them and I make a decision together. And I don't try to sugarcoat things. I try to tell them what is happening and what the truth is. And another thing is I don't really like chocolate that much, and most people do like chocolate.
Well, I won't hold that against you. So let me ask you this. Today, we're going to obviously talk about customer service. Full disclosure, I am your patient. I didn't have you on the show because I'm your patient. I almost didn't have you on the show because I'm your patient. But having said that, everybody knows I've worked with dentists for a long time. I'm a contributor on Dental Town. Your practice stands out. I wanted to focus on customer service. Your practice does such a phenomenal job. My wife is a patient. I've referred other people to you. You're one of a handful of dentists over my lifetime who literally have never caused me pain one time. I have no dental fear. I know dental fear is a real thing. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but I'm not afraid of the needles at all. I mean, I've had 18 surgeries, been through the whole mill, but you've never hurt me once, never caused me discomfort. You guys are really good with listening to patients. And that's the first thing I want to get to. The biggest mistake people make in business, whether you're a dentist, a chiropractor, a coach, consultant, is not listening to your patients, not listening to your clients, your customers. You guys do an excellent job of that. And so my question is, have you made it a priority in your practice to be very good listeners? And if so, is this something like you guys train on? Do you teach your staff how to do that? Do you work with them on that? Because not only you, listening to, and when I say listening, you're not just hearing what I say, you're actually listening kind of between the sentences of what a patient is saying. I've seen you work with other patients as well. Is that something you guys work on? Because you're doing a really good job with it.
It is something that we continue to talk about all the time. So we want to hear what the patient has to say multiple times, so we're not missing something. It starts at the first phone call when they call in. We want the front desk to get as much as they can in the limited amount of time that they have out of the patient. If it's a first time coming in, or if it's a patient that's coming in that is a patient on record that has pain or something, we want to know what's going on before they come in. And once they come in, then we try to get as much information when you see the dental assistant right away. And then they will come and talk to me. I will listen to the conversation, but then they will come and talk to me and say what they have talked to them about already. And then I will come in with my piece of paper, it written down, and I will come and talk to them and I'll say, so Megan, my assistant, has told me this. Tell me more about it. And it's something that we do strive to do very well at the office. It's not something that is just an accident. We talk about this during meetings. We want to know what is actually going on. It's a whole team thing. It's not just me, but I'm probably the third person to come in to get the story from them, possibly the fourth if they've gone through a hygiene appointment too, not just an emergency appointment. So there's multiple people collaborating on what's going on.
So as you guys are listening to your patients, not just listening, but I want to emphasize this. This is the way I perceive it and see it. It's been my personal experience. Like, you're listening on a deep emotional level. This is not just, hey, let's just run this patient through. What do you got to say? Let me cover this information with you. There's a lot more listening going on. There's a lot more engagement with your patients on a personal level. It's just not about, what they're presenting with, what they want to achieve, but you talk about other things as well. For me, the answer is obvious, but what kind of benefits have you seen by training your team and emphasizing the importance of engaging with patients on a deep emotional level, not only for the quote unquote clinical aspect of getting it right, but just being able to connect with your patients emotionally through active listening?
You're exactly right. We are more than just dentists. I feel like we're a psychologist and psychiatrist sometimes. The things that people say to us sometimes are kind of shocking. They will almost lay their whole life on the line sometimes. Unfortunately, a few patients that have cancer are going through cancer treatment right now. And the very first one that I can remember she was a patient of mine for about 4 or 5 years, and then she got cancer. And we were one of the first people that she told about it. And I almost started crying. I feel like I'm friends with a lot of my patients. Maybe we're not best friends, but we know each other. And I almost started crying that day. And she has been a good patient for a long time. And when she was going through chemo, she lost her hair. She was in the hospital for a while. We sent chocolates and flowers to her. And the people at the hospital were like, why is your dentist sending you this stuff? And she's like, oh, they're more than just a dentist's office to me. And it may not be like that with every patient, but we try to get to know the patients, because the more comfortable they are with you as a person, the more comfortable they're going to be in your chair. And some people are not comfortable in the dental office, and more than some people, a lot of people. So we try to get to know them as much as we can in the short amount of time that we have with each patient.
So Dr. Eric, the next customer service, I guess you could say, mistake that business owners make, again, whether you're dentist, chiropractor, coach, consultant, it doesn't matter, it's universal, is people lack genuine empathy for their customers, their clients. In your case, patients. You guys are really, really good about exercising and demonstrating and giving, being very empathetic towards your patients. Now that we're in the middle of what I like to call the new COVID economy, the need for empathy is at an all-time high as far as I can tell, because a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people maybe have lost their dental insurance. But from a business standpoint, I don't know if it's a concerted effort or your ability to be super empathetic with your patients translated into a more successful practice.
I would say that we have an exceptional bedside manner. And it starts from who you hire. You have to hire the right people for the right jobs. And that's something that since we bought the practice in 2016, we have tried to build a team that delivers on quality care and being there for their patients. We have some excellent assistants, front desk, and hygienists. And the more comfortable the patients are with you as a person, you as a team, the more they're going to trust you, the more that they are going to accept the treatment that needs to be done. And one of the things that we talk about with our patients is not just one treatment option. We try to give them multiple options depending on their pay scale, whether they want the easiest thing, the hardest thing, the best thing for them. Some people just want to get out of pain and that's it. So you pull a tooth. Some people want to replace their teeth with something. So we talk about implants or dentures, anything like bridges along those lines. But going back to your question, the more empathetic you are with your patient, the more trustworthy you are. And we're trying not to just run people through the office. We're not just trying to make a buck. We're trying to make a lasting relationship with people. And we've had patients that have been part of our office. I've only been here for 10 years that have been coming to the office for 30 plus years. So it starts a long time ago, and we're trying to keep that tradition going.
You know, I'll give you a real good example of the difference between Dr. Eric's practice and how he and his staff treat you versus something that happened to me when the beautiful and talented Lisa and I used to live in Portland. My dentist was out of town. He was actually a client of mine and a personal friend. I got hit in the mouth and cracked a tooth. The only dentist who could get me in saw me. I said, hey, listen, I have a dentist, but I'm in pain. Can you get me in? They got me in. So I drove like 30 minutes to their office. And when I got there, they saw me, shot the radiographs, and then had me come back. When I came back, they gave me a $30,000 treatment plan for a full mouth restoration, knowing that I had a dentist that I had a long-term relationship with, who was my personal friend, who happened to be out of town. That showed an utter and complete lack of empathy. And so I had to get my tooth fixed. I wanted it fixed, so I stayed, but there was no way. I mean, the guy had nothing for me that I wanted other than fix the tooth so I can get out of your office as quickly as possible. I was offended. I didn't tell him that. But those are the kind of things, those are the kind of mistakes you have to avoid with your clients, your customers, and your patients. You have to be able to read them. That's why empathy is really important, because now you start to understand where they're coming from. And for those patients who maybe can't, or those clients who can't afford the best thing for them today, give them what they really want. If they can't go any further, genuinely help them, show them that you're there for them, not just there for, like Dr. Eric said, making a buck. And then based on that, you strengthen a relationship. So maybe down the road, they're in a better financial position to pursue that best option for them. If you push too hard, you're going to lose people. And so being empathetic, I think, is a critical part of that.
There are people right now, that they can't do everything they want to do. So you do what you can for them, get them out of pain, or fix up the front tooth that is completely black and they just can't stand not being able to smile. And you know that they need other things, but you try not to push it on them, but you let them know that down the road, if they want to do anything, we're there for them. Another part of that is going to sound cliche, but I truly try to put myself in their position if I was them and it was the other way around. I would want to know the truth, know the options. And one of the major things that I try to do is put myself in their shoes so that they know what is going on. And you have to be truthful 100% of the time. If you're not, people are going to know that you're not being truthful. If you're holding things back that you should be telling them, people will know that. So when I'm going to give somebody an option for replacing a tooth that has failed, there's 3 options. We go through all 3 options. We go through the money with them, and they know when they're leaving what 3 options they have. I don't try to press them to make a choice that minute. I say, go home, think about it, give us a call, let us know what you want to do. But you have to be 100% truthful with them about that. Put yourself in their shoes as much as possible. And I think that's hard to do, and a lot of people forget about doing that.
Dr. Eric, one of the things that I really like about your practice, when I come into your office, everybody is so nice to me at the front desk. I know that from time to time we can have a bad day. The fact that you're seeing so many people, you have people coming from all over the Midwest. I know some people are traveling multiple states to get to you for the advanced cosmetic dentistry you guys do. But when they walk into your office, the last thing they need to deal with is a staff member, or even you, the dentist, who's having a bad day. I have never seen that occur in your office. So how important is it? Is this something you train with the staff, where you're like, hey, listen, guys, if you're having a bad day, leave it at the front door. You can come talk to me. I'll try to help you with it, whatever. But we have to leave those negative emotions at the front door because clients or customers or patients, they could pick up on stuff like that. And that could be a deal breaker. So like you have this reputation of being a stellar cosmetic dentist, amazing transformations with your patients, like the before and after pictures that people love to see. But literally, you may be the very best choice for a patient to come see, but they may decide to go elsewhere, which doesn't happen. But they could if somebody at your front desk is having a bad day and they're unkind to a patient at the front desk. How important is that in working with your team that you let them know and you role play and go through it to check the emotions at the door? If you're having a bad day, leave it. You're always welcome to talk to me, but let's always focus on being nice and kind to the people we serve.
The first thing we do when we get there in the morning is we have a team meeting, team huddle, and we go over pretty much every single patient that's on my schedule. And then we'll go through the hygiene schedules. And if anything needs to be talked about, it's not very long, 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. And we talk about things. And you can tell right off the bat if somebody's not having a good day. And usually you can pick up on those things right away. And when I do it, I notice and I will try to talk to that person real quick. I'm like, what's going on? You're not feeling well, or this or that. And every now and then, people are not going to have a good day. It's just what it is. So you try to, like you said, drop the emotions or drop the feelings that your bad feelings you're feeling before the job starts. And I feel like the more you talk about it, the more time that we do meet with each other and work on our office, not just practice in the office, but work on our office, the better we're going to be. The more you have meetings, the more you work on the office, the better it's going to be. We have seen a couple employees completely transform over the last 4.5 years that were introverted. They would not talk to the patients as much. And over the last 4 years, we've worked with them and had meetings with them and got them to come out of their shell. And even when they're having a bad day, they put on a brave face. Happens. I'm like, wow, they really did a good job taking care of that patient, even when they were not having the best day themselves. So it is something that we work on quite frequently.
So Dr. Eric, this is a section of my podcast. I don't do it with every guest, but I want to do it with you. I like doing this. For me, it's fun. It's kind of like that Jeopardy feeling where you've got, the music in the background. You hear the clock ticking because there's a little bit of pressure on the question. But I want you to take for each one of these rapid fire bulleted questions, you got 30 to 60 seconds to answer. But if you're ready, here we go. What's the most important customer service step you've implemented since the onset of COVID-19? Go.
Definitely the most important is the screening questions, the temperature checks, keeping everybody safe. We implemented our air purifiers. We have about 13 or so of them in the office. The most important thing right now is keeping people safe. We've always trained as dentists to be very good at doing our job safely because we deal with patients that have HIV, hepatitis B and C. So we treat every patient like they have some kind of disease that you can't get rid of. So we've been doing this for a long time. We just took a couple additional steps. I wear this face shield now that I never wore before. And I don't think I'll go back again because I am seeing so much spit that comes onto that face shield that I've never seen before. And I'm like, oh man, that was over my whole face. And now
I told you I didn't mean to do that, Dr. Eric. I apologize profusely. I'm sorry for that. But being a retired chiropractor, I have an undergraduate degree in microbiology. This is an airborne virus for the most part. Yes, you can get it off surfaces. You guys have been always awesome at infection control. You guys go above and beyond, which I thought was cool. But the fact that you put in your air purification system, because this is an airborne virus, I was really, really impressed by that. And that's kind of what I wanted you to get to. But anyway, here's the next question. Rapid fire. Best piece of advice you ever got from a patient about customer service? Go.
That's a good question. Best piece of advice. I would say I got one from a patient that I was very concerned had mouth cancer. It was a Friday afternoon and I maybe kind of overreacted a little bit. This was right when I started off. And I told him, you need to get to the oral surgeon as soon as possible because you need to get this checked out. And it was a Friday afternoon, so he couldn't get in anywhere until a Monday. And so he called his sister who lives in Wisconsin and said, I have cancer. I need you to come down here and be with me when I go to this consult on a Monday afternoon. So he went all weekend thinking he had cancer because I did something. I stepped out of my area of expertise and said, you have cancer. You need to go see this person. It ended up not being cancer, but his sister called me and pretty much laid into me. And ever since then, I've been much more reserved about trying to step outside of my zone of comfort. So that's my best thing that I've ever had.
And this was something that happened early on in practice. Obviously, you got enough time in the practice now, you know better to leave somebody hanging over the weekend, but that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah, this is within my first year or two out of dental school. And it's something I still remember 8, 9, 10 years later.
All right, here's the next one. Biggest customer service mistake you've made in practice. Could be right when you first started. It could have been last week. And how'd you fix it? Go.
All right. First one is, one of our major things is we want to get feedback from patients as much as possible. So we've implemented follow-ups through Google, through Solution Reach, through Facebook. So we have a 5-star review, over 500 patients on Solution Reach. We're over 100 patients on Google. But we want to get that feedback. And just last week, we had a patient that gave us a 3 out of 5 stars. And it was because it was a new patient. It was a kid. He came in and I saw him for an exam. I didn't meet mom. And the mom said, I really wish I would have met the dentist. And that's why we got a 3 out of 5 star. And we usually bring patients back. But with COVID going on right now, things are different. It's a lot more fluid. We're not seeing patients like we usually do. But that got me thinking that I need to be better about not only meeting the patient, but meeting the patient's parents if there is a reason to meet them. And that really kind of set me back on my heels a little bit. And that was just last week. That doesn't happen very often. If you look at our reviews, we have great reviews.
Yeah, you guys have awesome reviews. All right, last question, Dr. Eric. You built an amazingly successful practice over the last 10 years, stellar reputation. And my question is this: how does a person build such an amazing practice in that short a time?
So I would say the major thing is having a mentor. Jack Griffin was the guy that I worked for 5 years and bought the practice from. And he is still somebody that I call off and on to ask questions from. Having a mentor to kind of get you going in the right direction. That's one thing. The second thing is take as much CE, continuing education about your profession, as early as possible. The more you do, the more you know, and then the more you don't know. So try not to do more than you are capable of. When I first got out of dental school, I thought I could do everything. And I made a couple mistakes in the beginning. And now I know that I don't want to do a couple certain things. So you have to build the practice to you, not to what you think your patients want, but what you can do that best serves them. And then what you can't do, refer out to the people that you know that they can get the job done. And obviously be truthful. Be an empathetic person as much as you can. You have to do your best to put yourself in their shoes.
Let me ask you a follow-up question to that. So when you're doing the continuing education, and I know you do a lot, how do you handle all these younger doctors and even people who've been in, maybe some of them even in practice longer than you, coming up and asking you questions because they know you built such an amazing practice? How do you handle that? I know some people are real standoffish and they don't want to be bothered. Other people really giving themselves. My guess is that you're more than willing to help people out, your peers, and give them time and give them some instruction. But how do you deal with that when people are, because I know you get approached a lot at these events because people, they know the fact that you've built such an amazing practice.
So thanks for the question. We have a good group of about 10 to 15 dentists that we meet once a month and go over things. And we rely on each other pretty much. Nobody's working against each other. We're trying to do what's best for all of us. So we pretty much are an open book when we go to these meetings. So if people ask questions, I try to give them the honest truth. I don't hide things. I don't hide my numbers. I am pretty much an open book and I can't hide the truth. It's not something that can sit well with me. God's going to know if I don't tell the truth and I will know. So I just can't do that. I have to tell the truth.
Dr. Eric, this is a question I love to ask all my guests. I'm going to ask you, what's the one question that I should have asked you today, but I didn't ask?
A lot of dentistry people perceive as being very painful. So my question is, what's the best thing that you've done in the practice over the last 10 years to promote getting new patients? And I would say painless dentistry. A lot of people claim that they can do that, but the number one thing people are scared of is the shot. The first thing you do is give them the shot. So we've been working over the last 10 years on the best thing to do to give them a shot. So we use absolutely the smallest, shortest needle possible and going in with the least amount of anesthetic off the beginning. So we come with something called Sit-Nest. Sit-Nest is the name of the anesthetic we give first. It's very light. It numbs up the tissue only. And then we come back with another shot that you don't feel at all because your tissue's numb with a longer lasting, more heavy anesthetic. And
like Septocaine or lidocaine?
Yeah, Septocaine. That's exactly what it is, Articaine. And we've been doing that. And I hear more often than not, that is the best shot that I've ever got. As soon as they get the shot done, the better shots you can give off the bat, the better, because then they're not in pain. And that's the one thing people are scared of. The number one thing people hate about the dentist is the pain. So if you can get them no pain, then that's great.
Hey, like I said at the beginning, I have no fear of injections. I've been through so many surgeries. I mean, so many traumas to my body. The needle in the mouth doesn't bother me, but I have to say, and I've told you this multiple times, I have never one time felt you give me, you're like, okay, you might feel a little stick here. Nothing. I mean, you put that bubblegum flavored numbing agent on my gums and then boom, I'm like, is it done? You're like, it's done. So I have to say that you do an exceptional job with that. And I wouldn't say that if that wasn't the truth, because of the fact, I know so many people are terrified of the needle. I've been to a lot of dentists. I've had a lot of dentist clients. From a patient's perspective, I can say that I've not had a better dentist than Dr. Eric Klum. From a pain perspective and from an outcome perspective, and that's why he's on the episode today, from a customer service perspective. I've been to dentists before that did exceptional work, but they didn't have any chairside manner, or their staff was rude to me, or they didn't file my insurance on time or something else like that, and then send me a bill. I've never had a bad experience over the, 3 or 4 years now I've been your patient.
Yeah.
And I will continue to be your patient, and I just appreciate the fact that you've been here. So let me ask you this. How can people find out more about you? Give us your website, your location. Tell us about your practice. It's your time to give us that information.
Yeah. So our website is www.eurekasmile.com. There's no S on that. It's the singular, not the plural. And our phone number is 636-938-6241. We're in Eureka, Missouri, right by the Six Flags in Missouri. Going on the website, that's the best way to get to know us pretty much. Give us a call. If we can't pick up the phone right away, we'll give you a call right back. At the office, we try to do almost everything we can because people don't like to have to go multiple different places. They don't want to have to go to the orthodontist and then go to the endodontist and then go to the oral surgeon. So we try to provide as many services as possible. So we do braces, we do cosmetic dentistry, veneers, crowns, bridges. We place implants. We do root canals, we do extractions, just bread and butter dentistry, which is fillings and crowns. We just recently got a new service that we can mill zirconia crowns in the office, which in my opinion is the new standard of care for crowns. And this is something we just got within the last 3 months. Now in the office, we can prep the tooth, make the zirconia crown and put it into your mouth between an hour and 2 hours, an hour and a half and 2 hours. So you don't have to come back for a second appointment when you're not numb and maybe have some sensitivity. You can get it all done right at the same time. And the crowns have been fantastic that we've been making. That's one thing that I've actually been pretty excited about. It's definitely worth it for the patients and for us.
Well, Dr. Eric, I want to thank you for being on the show today. Thanks for your input and your feedback on how to deliver exceptional customer service. And we'll be talking to you soon.
I appreciate it, Dr. Ken.
As I mentioned at the conclusion of last week's episode with Craig Simpson, great marketing by itself will never make your company profitable and successful. Superior customer service that delivers a memorable experience for your clients is mandatory to your success, especially in light of the fact that we're in the new COVID economy. And the trifecta of business success wouldn't be complete without the third leg of the stool, which is leadership. Companies that deliver superior customer service consistently are always headed up by great leaders. I'm going to go a bit short on my wrap-up today as I'm getting ready to head out of town for the Christmas and New Year's holiday. But before wrapping up, I want to quickly mention that we're in the process of creating a free membership for you where you're going to be able to access the entire library of conversations searchable by topic since 2017. When you decide to become a member on KenNewhouse.com, you'll have instant access to my own personal library, the book notes, and the highlights I've captured from the various best-selling authors I've had on the show. You'll also have access to a weekly strategy guide that'll come into your inbox every Wednesday. The guide will feature all the links we mentioned on every show that links to books, resources, and also other podcast episodes, as well as the most effective strategy we covered on that week's episode. Additionally, the guide will contain other articles online that I found that I think will be useful to you. So be sure to listen for the announcement when we launch the new free membership portal we're creating for you on KenNewhouse.com. And in addition to all that I've mentioned, remember, the first 100 subscribers when we open up registration are going to get a free digital copy of the updated version of my book, Profitable Again, as well as a copy of my newest book, Profitable Podcast Blueprint. And speaking of leadership skills and great business minds, next week I'm having a conversation with Mike Darrington, Executive Vice President of Hollison Corporation. And as you're going to discover during my conversation with Mike next week, anyone can learn to become a great leader and build an amazingly successful business. Darrington, who started his career as a salesman, worked his way up to the position of Executive Vice President at Ralston Purina, and from there, went on to build one of the most successful supplement companies in the world. It was his company. He had men like Tom Osborne, the former head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and Ozzie Smith, Hall of Fame shortstop for the world champion St. Louis Cardinals, on the board of his company. Darrington's mentors include men like the late John Wooden, head coach of the UCLA men's basketball team and winningest NCAA coach of all time, as well as others you're going to learn about during the conversation. In fact, I am literally blown away by the number of very, very successful, very prominent, and some would say celebrity individuals that Mike Darrington has known and become friends with over the course of his business career. So join me for a conversation next week with my guest, Mike Darrington, where we're going to discuss leadership and success habits that can help you get clients now and transform your business, especially in the heart of the new COVID economy. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week on the show.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Ken Newhouse team, thanks for listening.